Hi there, this is Miss Kerr, and I'm going to walk you through the first part of the ups and downs of the ocean floor graph, just to get you started, and then you will finish on your own. So the first thing about this chart is that this is actually one table, but it's kind of continuation. So I'm going to just make that real obvious for everybody. So if you draw a line down the middle there, I'm going to call this table 1, and this is going to be table 2, and just know that you have to graph both tables, okay? So distance from New Jersey, if you look down at your graph, this is your x-axis. So when you plot this point, you're going to go across first, and then depth below the ocean surface is your y-axis. So same as in math. T-charts in math, you're going to plot these the same way. So you're going to plot all these points. You're going to get down to the bottom here, 3,450 and 3,400, and the next point is at the top of this table. So, and then you're going to plot all of these points. And again, this is your x value, this is your y value. And you might want to just write that at the top, just so you remember, I've got to plot all these points, I've got to plot all these points. All right, so I'm going to walk you through a little bit, and unfortunately the table and the graph don't fit on the same screen for my video, but that's okay. You've got it in front of you. So the tricky part of the graph is that we are talking about things that are below the ocean surface. So this is actually going to be your 0 on the y-axis. This is going to be sea level. And if you think about it, this is going to be kind of the surface of the ocean. So if I were going to be a boat, the boat would be on this surface of the ocean right here. And then everything below here is underwater. So what is happening below the surface of the ocean? All right, so our first point is 0, 0, and again, unlike your graphs in math, we have the 0 for the x-axis here, but then our y0 is up here. So we're going to plot our first point right here. All right, and you can kind of check off as you plot your points. That would be fine. Next point is 160 and 165. So you're going to have to do a little estimating here because our first two little increments are 0 and 200. So I'm going to go a little bit closer to 200, so kind of in the middle of those, but closer to 200. And I'm going to go all the way up, and notice again, my numbers are going down this way because I'm going underwater. And so 160 is actually going to be all the way at the top. So it's going to be before I get to 300, so kind of halfway between 0 and 300. So right about there. Again, you're estimating, and you want to connect the dots with either a ruler or the edge of your time tracker as you go along. So don't wait, don't put all the points down and then connect the dots, do them one at a time because you want to go from one to the other, and it's going to get confusing here. All right, so the next one is going to be, your next point is 200 and 1,800. So on the x-axis, I'm going to find 200, and I'm going to go follow that all the way up to 1,800 and mark that right there. So 1,800 intersects with 200. I didn't mean to make that mark there. All right, and then we're gonna connect those dots. All right. Next point is 500 and 3,500. So 500 is gonna be halfway between 400 and 600. So I'm gonna go halfway between that, and I wanna go up to 3,500. So I'm gonna follow that up. Now, 3,500, since it's kind of backwards from what you do in math, you want to think, okay, 3,500 is going to be between 3,300 right here and 3,600. So I'm going to follow my number up there, and it's going to be somewhere in between there. Again, you're estimating, So I'm kind of in the middle of that square there. And then you're going to connect the dots. All right, last dot we're going to do together, because I think you'll probably have the hang of it by then. 800, 4,600. All right, so again, on the x-axis, I find 800, and I'm going to go up to 4,600. So 4,600 is between 4,500 and 4,800. So I want to make sure my dot is like in between there, right? So somewhere in between those two numbers. And then we connect those dots again. All right, so you have 5 points plotted so far. Your graph is going to do some ups and downs here because the ocean floor is not flat. So you're going to see some up and down. Underneath your line here, you're going to color with a colored pencil brown. That's going to indicate the ocean floor. So anything under your line, once you have it drawn, is going to be brown. And then anything above your line, so everything right here, anything that is above your line is going to be blue, because that's going to indicate ocean water. So when you're all done with your line, color brown underneath the line, blue above the line. All right, then what we want you to try to do is to label some features of the ocean floor. So these are what we want you to try to label. So sea level, I think I already mentioned, is 0. So the surface of the ocean is going to be at 0. So you can label this side here and this little part here, you can label that sea level. And these are all vocabulary words, so you can always look back at that vocabulary list. Volcanic island, that is going to break the surface of the ocean. So it's going to come all the way up at some point to, your 0 there. Continental shelf and continental slope are on your vocabulary list. Look at those. Seamount is going to be a mountain underneath the water, but it's not going to make the surface of the water like a volcanic island is. It's not going to be quite that tall. Then we have the abyssal plain, so a fairly, flat area of the ocean floor. And then lastly, a trench. That's where the ocean floor is going to kind of dip down even further than an abyssal plain. So try to label those parts where you think they might go with a pencil, and then your teacher will go over that or give your group an answer key to kind of check to see if you labeled those correctly. All right, good luck.